All right, so we are going to get started. All right, so today we're going to do a warm welcome in just a moment and kind of get an idea of who's all in the room and who across Alaska is all participating in this initiative with you. And then we're going to walk through the entire process of the year and the schedule and what roles look like. And then we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. But if you have questions throughout too, feel free to put them in the chat box or unmute and chime in. So just a quick introduction to our network team. I already mentioned Thomas is our executive director and oversees all of the network happenings. Lily Tegner is our AmeriCorps program specialist. She places AmeriCorps members at after-school programs around the state to do STEM programming. So if you are interested in having an AmeriCorps member, you can get in touch with her. Anna McGovern is our professional development person. She plans our entire big conference that we have coming up in November, which we officially have dates for. That is November 16th and 17th at the Hilton in Anchorage, so mark your calendars. I'm Erin Moriarty again. I oversee our program quality initiatives. And we also have Lucas Garcia is our Sustainability AmeriCorps Vista member who kind of helps out with a little bit of everything that we're doing. And we're soon to be growing, so stay tuned for that. And we want to get to know who all is in this room and for you to all get a chance to know who's in this room. So in the chat box, if you wouldn't mind sharing your name, position, organization, and then if you're with a specific site within your organization, which site you're with, because I know we have a wide variety of new folks, returning folks. I think I see some external assessors here, site directors, staff. Great to see such a variety of people here. That's name, position, organization, and site. A minute or two to put that in the chat and scroll through. Yes, we've got Boys and Girls Club of the Kenai Peninsula representing today. Got lots of you here. We've got a few 21st century external evaluators here. 360 is here. We got Fairbanks. We are all across the state here. And I'll let you keep dropping those in as we get started. We got Juneau here. We have Kiana here. All right, so again, in our kickoff meeting today, we are going to walk through our entire process through the year. That is an assess, plan, improve, three-step or three-phase process that we take you through throughout the year. And on the right here, you see the pyramid of program quality, which is a visualization of what is being measured in this initiative and the tools that we are using. And in this presentation, there's a couple YPQI events that we like to play this game called Data, Got It. Anytime you hear someone say data during this presentation, go ahead and put in the chat the word got it. And extra brownie points if you tally up how many we say during the entire presentation. So listen for the word data. Rebecca's on it. All right, so we are going to start with the assess phase of the process, and we'll start with talking about what tools are being used. There are two main tools that are being used. I think everyone that is here is only using these two tools. There's the school age program quality assessment. There's a lot of acronyms too, so I'm trying to say them all out fully, and we also have them on the screen as their acronyms. So the school age program quality assessment is the YPQI, and that is for grades K through 6. And that can be done as either a self-assessment or an external assessment, and I'll talk about what that looks like in just a minute. And there's also the youth program quality assessment, which is for grades 5 through 12. And these two tools, they're very similar. There's just a few items that are different to make them more appropriate for the age range. And these tools answer the question, what is happening at the program level? So what are youth in your program experiencing? So these tools are used doing an assessment. And I want to frame the word assessment. Assessment can sound kind of scary to some people. I like to think of it more of as an inventory of the quality practices that you're doing. So it's kind of like a look at all the great stuff you're doing. What do you want to be more intentional about? It is not meant to be punitive or point fingers or find anything that you're doing wrong. It's very much an inventory of what you're doing and what you want to be more intentional about. So there's two different types of assessment you can do. You can either do a self-assessment as your site. So that is where program staff at your site could include managers, staff, even community members could be involved in it, where your site is taking a day to observe your program. You're taking observational objective notes on what you're seeing and hearing at your program. And then everyone who observed program sits down and scores what they saw from their notes on the tool. And then whoever's in charge will enter your scores into our online data system called Scores Reporter that we'll talk about in a minute. And if that is all sounding very foreign and scary to you, we have plenty of training opportunities in September to get you all ready to do a self-assessment. It is also my job to hold your hand through this entire process if at any point throughout the process you are feeling overwhelmed or confused. The other option is an external assessment. That is where one of us from the network comes out to your site, or I know a couple of your sites have certified external assessors on staff who can do an external assessment for you. So that's someone who has been certified in the external assessment training with these tools through the YPQI Center. So one of us or one of your external assessors will come and visit your site for a day and observe and take notes on everything they're seeing and hearing in program. And then they go and score the either school age or youth tool, whichever one you're using. And then they sit down with the team the next day and debrief scores and what they saw. And then the external assessor takes care of scores reported for that. Question in the chat. Is everyone able to see my screen? Okay. Yeah, Michelle, maybe if you try leaving and rejoining, you might be able to see it. If you're still having problems, I can try unsharing and resharing too. All right. Any questions on self or external assessments? We have lots of trainings in September as well that will get you all up to speed on exactly how all of that works. All right. And then I mentioned Scores Reporter is the data management system. So if you're having an external assessment, they will take care of putting the scores into Scores Reporter. If you're doing a self-assessment, whoever's kind of in charge will take care of putting the scores in, and we'll have your Scores Reporter logins and tutorial information on how that works coming in September. It's pretty straightforward. I don't know, sometimes it can be confusing. I'm happy to help or enter scores for you if you just send stuff to me if it's too much for you. Yeah, so that is Scores Reporter information is coming in September. And we love Scores Reporter because it spits out a really beautiful data sheet that has all of your data that is from your assessment. And so that data is what we are going to be using during the plan phase, which we will get to in a couple moments. So this is the schedule for the PQA. I know a schedule like this can be a lot to look at on a slide. So I am going to walk you through it. So September, I mentioned we have trainings coming up. You and your team only need to attend one of these 3 trainings in September. For this entire process, you're pretty much only doing about one thing per month. So in September, you're only attending one of these 3 trainings. If your team is using the youth tool, you'll attend the one on September 7th and 8th. If you're using the school age tool, there's the training on the 14th and the 15th. If this is your second or third time going through this process with us, you've been through the basics before, you're feeling pretty good about it, but you want a refresher, you can also attend our 1-hour version on September 20th, or if you have staff that are coming on mid-September that don't get a chance to attend either of the longer versions, they can also attend to that 1-hour version. I also know there might be a few of you that have gone through this with us a couple times and you're feeling really great about it. You don't necessarily need to attend any if you have done the full basics before and you're feeling really good about it. So September, you're getting trained, and then end of September, October, you're doing your assessments. So it's either your self-assessment or external assessment. And we want scores and Scores Reporter by Halloween so that it can be ready for our planning with data session in November or December. All right. So this next piece is mostly for management and administrators. So if you're more site level, you can pay attention to this part, but don't stress about this part because this part is for management and administrators. So there is a second tool called the Organizational Quality Assessment. In the past, it's been called Form B, but it has been revamped and has a lot of different new grade items on it. And this measures organizational level items that support things that are happening in the program quality assessment. So it really asks the question, what's happening at the organizational level? What are your staff experiencing? As opposed to the program quality assessment, which is asking what are the youth experiencing? So to use this tool, we at the network will sit down with the manager, administrator, or sometimes there's a couple of people involved, and we just talk through the tool and score it together. And then we put those scores in Scores Reporter. And then that's more data that can be used during planning with data and your goal setting. And we recommend doing this if it's your first year. We recommend doing the organizational quality assessment just to get an idea of where you're at as an organization. And then every few years, it doesn't really need to be done every year unless you have major leadership turnover. And this is also an optional piece as well, I should mention. And this, yeah, again, Scores Reporter will take care of Scores Reporter for the organizational quality assessment. And the schedule for the organizational quality assessment, we have a 1-hour training in October. That's just an overview of what's on the tool and how the process works. And then you'll sign up for a time to sit down with someone from the network to go through the tool and score it. And then again, we'll take care of that Scores Reporter piece. Any questions on the organizational quality assessment or anything we've covered so far in the assess phase? All right. So September, you get trained. October, you're doing your observation. Then it comes November. We are entering the plan phase where we get to look at data. So our Scores Reporter management system spits out a really pretty data sheet that looks at the PQA and the OQA, Program Quality Assessment and Organizational Quality Assessment, at a broad level called domain, a more specific level called scale, and then a very specific level called items, which you'll become more familiar with in your September trainings. So this is kind of an overview of what it looks like and what we might be looking at during the planning with data session. So this is an example. You can see it shows data from the site level. And then if you have more than one site at your organization, you can compare it to the organizational level next to the state average. And there's also a national sample. So one thing that what it might look like during planning with data, you might notice in your data that something might catch your eye that's like, oh, we're doing pretty good here, but we're doing good for our organization, but we're still a little bit below the state average. What's going on there? So you can zoom into that data. You can see that's supportive environment. So we'll zoom into supportive environment and look and say, where are we scoring low here? Active engagement, staff support, youth, and skill building. Okay, what does that look like in program? What can we set some goals around in those areas? So then we'll zoom in even more, and it lists exactly what those things were being measured during the observation. And so those might be some of the items that you end up setting goals around if you were scoring low in that area. And you don't necessarily have to be setting goals on things that you're scoring low in. Sometimes your observation might have just happened on an off day. So you might end up just saying, oh, we actually usually do that thing really well. Maybe there's something else we want to focus on. Or you could even be setting goals in something that you scored really well on that surprised you. That's like, oh, I didn't realize we were doing that. Let's be intentional about that. So this is really your data to do what you want with. And so during planning with data, you're sitting down with your team. We like to have as much of the team as possible there so that you all can be there and make your goals together and have that buy-in with your goals. So you're going to sit down. We have a lot of processes that we go through to get to root causes and set your goals. And so planning with data happens in November or December. And there's a few different options here. If you are planning to attend the Alaska Out of School Time Conference, and it's your first time going through this with us, we highly recommend attending our pre-conference, which will be on the 15th from probably 9 to 3:30. I don't think those times are set in stone, but about that. And I believe it's $35 to attend just because it's part of our official conference. All of the other offerings will be free. If your team has gone through planning with data before and you want to attend the full 5-6 hour version, again, you are more than welcome to. If this is your second or third time going through planning with data, we will be having a 2-hour version if you're feeling good about goal setting and some of that root cause finding. And we'll have a 2-hour version during conference sometime. I don't think the time has been officially set yet, but that will be an option at conference. If you're not able to attend conference, we'll also have free online offerings in December. So again, we'll have that full version on December 7th and 8th, and then that shorter 2-hour version on the 4th. And so yes, again, during planning with data, we're diving into the data, you're working with your team to set some goals, and then your goals will be put into Scores Reporter. Ideally, you'll have your scores in Scores Reporter by the end of the planning with data session. But if you need more time to go back with your team and sit down with them to officialize your goals, we just really want them in before you leave for winter break. So approximately December 21st. Questions on the plan phase? All right. So October, you got trained, or no, September, you got trained. October, you did your assessment. November, December, you had planning with data. So now January, we're entering the improve phase, which is really, we call it kind of like the 90-day improvement period is January, February, and March. So during the improve phase, there's a few different things that happen. In January, we will be offering a professional learning community where you'll come back from winter break and you'll get to sit down with some peers from different programs, and it'll just be a session for you to recenter yourself in your goals and kind of exchange ideas and a chance to bounce some resources around. And then we'll also be offering the 10 trainings that you see on the screen. Each of those trainings are aligned with the program quality assessment tool. So if you set your goal in an area that's on the tool, there's a training that goes with that. So your team can attend that training. I know some of your teams have attended many of these trainings before. So if there's something more specific you want training on to, we are happy to tailor something for your team. And then another piece of the improve phase 2 is you can sign up for a coaching session with someone from our team, and we'll sit down and just kind of do a goal check and see where you're at, if there's any resources you need, if you're having any challenges or things of that nature.
And Aaron, this is Thomas. I do want to jump in real quick. One of the things we're strongly encouraged during that and during this improve phase and those trainings, that's ideally the time that your staff that are working directly with youth are engaging in those trainings. So not just who's the site coordinator or who's the director of the grant program or director of the program, but really giving that as an opportunity for the site staff to engage in professional development. We know for a lot of your staff, you may utilize teachers that are in school and that might not work time-wise. We're happy to be flexible and accommodate based on that. So the sooner we know, and we can reserve a date for you and your program, if you do have a unique program time, say you have an in-service professional development day that you're doing or some other meeting time that you already have, we can book those even if you're not sure what training, because the training should be based off of the goal you're setting in November. We can already block out to say, great, we are going to reserve for Fairbanks this day, this time to do one of the modules or 2 of the modules, or we're going to block out the time for Opt-in Guyana at this time, or Boys and Girls to the Kenai Peninsula at this time. So as you're starting to look at, especially your January, February, March timeline of when your staff are meeting or when you have trainings or in-services, that's a good time for you to reach out to us as well to block out and reserve some time for us to be able to come. We are able to offer any of the trainings virtually. We're also happy to come out to site locations. However, the site location at that point, we do ask for the program provider to cover transportation costs for us to attend, but the actual training itself is free. So if you want more information, contact Anna or Aaron in regards to setting up those and reserving those training times. Otherwise, all the trainings, as Aaron said, will be offered free online throughout the course of the 90-day improvement phase.
And so you'll definitely want to attend whatever trainings align with your goals. You are also welcome to attend any and all of them. These are called the youth work methods, and they're also great trainings. If you have new staff or anyone who's new to working with youth, these trainings are really great for getting them trained up and grounded in best practices for working with youth. So our schedule for that improved period, we have that professional learning community that I mentioned will happen in January. And then January through March is when you'll be attending trainings. You can have a goal check-in and doing whatever else is in your goals and your improvement plan. You might have other things that aren't professional development. Maybe you're sitting down and reworking a schedule or other things that your team are doing on the ground in program outside of training. And tentatively, we have those trainings scheduled for Tuesdays from noon to 2 on Zoom. But again, like Thomas mentioned, we are flexible. We can accommodate. We can schedule something just for your team. So just stay tuned for that.
And those coaching support sessions with our staff, those are really, again, geared for who's ever the site coordinator or site director at it. That's who those coaching supports are really aligned to. We're happy to work with others as well, but it's really a chance to help coach the quality improvement goal setting part. As Aaron said, maybe the discussion is really on us giving feedback on a new schedule or a new agenda, or maybe you struggled with getting middle school age youth to attend your program. This is a chance for us to be able to have that one-on-one technical assistance time with you and really chat through what are the challenges, opportunities, and successes of your program. So we strongly encourage you to take advantage of those coaching sessions.
Thanks, Thomas. All right, so that takes us through March. And then at the end of the year, ideally, you're doing a second assessment in spring, either a self-assessment or another external assessment. And you don't have to have two of the same type of assessment. You could do a self-assessment in fall, external in spring. You could do both self, both external, whatever kind of combination you want to do. So ideally, you're doing a second assessment in April, May, kind of towards the end of the school year, just so you can track progress, see how your program has grown or changed throughout the year. And then we also have a celebration and reflection meeting scheduled in April, which is a really great opportunity for you all to celebrate your program. And it's also a really critical thing for us at the network in our own program quality improvement, because that's a great time for you to give us feedback on this process and what we can do to improve it and keep it strong. Just a couple things about different roles you may have. This is going to look different for different programs. And I know we have a few 21st century evaluators here. You may or may not be doing some of these things in the manager site leads. I know different evaluators kind of participate at different levels. But ideally what we're seeing managers and site leads and kind of training and coaching staff, or making sure staff are signing up for those things, attending trainings, making sure staff are engaged, and then really leading the site through the data collection process, or making sure that the assessments are happening. And then your site staff are a part of the improvement team. So we'd love to have staff at Planning with Data if possible. They're attending trainings, coaching, and just participating throughout. And then they're the ones on the ground who are enacting the best practices, the things that are in the tool, in the program quality assessment with youth. Okay, so I know talking through an entire year's worth of events is a lot. So I tried to simplify it and put it in a simpler little spreadsheet right here. So it's really just like one thing per month. September, attend a training. October, do your assessment. November, December, planning with data. January, professional learning community. And then all of spring is trainings and implementing your goals, coaching check-ins. And then April is another assessment and attending a celebration. And it can be a lot to look at a whole year's worth of events at once. So why don't you just focus on the one that's in front of you? So right now we have trainings coming up in September, and I'll be sending out the entire schedule with registration links and stuff. So what questions are there? It can be about anything we just discussed or anything else that may come up. Will these slides be available for us to download? And I can send these to you, yeah. And I'll also be sending out all of the schedules and stuff to you as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we're looking right now to schedule like professional development for our whole team. And it looks like we would want several meetings over the year. Can can you tell me like how much time you think with the whole team we would need and when?
Yeah, so are you asking for professional development for like let me go back up for these ones? Or for all of the different trainings throughout the year?
I guess for all the different trainings, like we would need to train them before we do the assessment if they're part of the assessment, but they wouldn't need to be in that whole 3-hour meeting.
Yeah, so if you're doing a self-assessment, let me find the slide. Sorry if this is making you dizzy. We are offering these 3 trainings in September that I'll send out the registration links so you can sign up for one of these. The 2, 3, or these 2 longer ones are only offered through the Weichert Center. We have brought on the Weichert Center to put on these trainings for us. So unfortunately, we have to go through them for these. So that's why we're only offering these 2 at this time. We put on this 1-hour version that I can do. If you can't make this time, I can do this with anyone's team at any time, and I can make it a little longer and more in depth to look more like these if needed as well. So if you're unable to get to these, let me know and we can try to arrange something. But if you are able to get to one of these, that's ideal because then it's coming from the Weichert Center because they are the ones who do all of this.
And excuse me, Meg, we are happy to sit down with you as well as kind of walk through and make a plan specifically for your program to you about like, okay, what trainings when, and really walk through that calendar with you so that that aligns and connects to your planning cycle as well for your staff. As Aaron said, really our whole goal for this is to make this as digestible. We know it can feel like a lot because we're looking across a whole year, but let's just take it in bite-sized pieces and we can meet one-on-one if you'd like. Just shoot Aaron or I an email afterwards or stay online after this and we can start talking through what's the right trainings at the right points for your staff and who should attend what.
I'll also mention too that your program's participation in all of this, I mean, I don't think anyone except for maybe some PIDAP people, it's not really a mandatory thing. So if you're having like program hardships and something about this is just becoming too much for your program, to let us know and we can figure out a way to make it easier or less of a time commitment as well. So we try to make on-ramps and off-ramps for programs as needed as well. We try to tailor the experience to your needs. And if you want to stay on after for a few minutes, we can chat about gap stuff because I think we have a few things to touch base on. Hovan, I'll send you the slides and everything as well.
Because I see a lot of site directors on, especially those with Boys and Girls Club Kenai Peninsula. The key thing for at that site director level, and I see our Youth 360 site directors on as well. The key thing for the site directors is one, you want to make sure that you're getting a kind of firm understanding of that during that first part. So in September, attending one of the basics training, if you've already attended it and you want a crash course or a refresher, you're welcome to attend. Then really at that point, it's helping to support the process. Aaron will be there all along the way, myself as well. So if at some point you're feeling like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, or are we supposed to be doing anything, reach out to us. That's what we're here to do. The key part for you as a site director is once that goal is set and your staff and you have buy-in to say, this is the goal that we're going to work on for the next 90 days, is really helping to champion that goal at the site level between January and March around, okay, this is a training we're going to attend, or here's some resources. And really it's providing that additional support to staff around saying, how do you integrate the best practice to really show improvement? So at that site director level, you're really the champion of quality improvement. That it's not, this is something that our main office told us how to do, or that our granting agency told us to do, but that you're helping to build that the culture of quality improvement at your site. So being there as that champion to show this is, you know, our kids deserve the best and we deserve the best practices as well. So being there as that lead champion at site, that's really going to be your key role as the site director.
I'll mention too, we have a lot of returning organizations and sites here, and we have a few first timers. The first year can feel a little bit clunky too. So once you've done this for a year, I think the second, and we have a couple here that have done this twice before. Once you kind of get into the groove of it, do it once, the second year becomes kind of like, okay, yes, now it's just kind of part of the flow of what we're doing. So if it's your first time, it's okay to be scared and for it to feel clunky. We are here to support you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, songs, or dances?
If not, I'm going to put my email in the chat.
And I'm just going to check with the group. I could really use some current and sound data. How many times did we say data during this conversation about collecting data? I counted at least a good solid 20.
I was not keeping track.
All right. Well, folks, that is it. If you're interested in staying around, just to clarify any expectations or looking at schedules, you're welcome to. Otherwise, you'll be receiving a full outline of the trainings, including registrations coming up here in the next week. If at any point you have questions, again, reach out to Aaron or myself. We are happy to assist in any way. And if there's other training or support that you can use outside of this, the network's always here. If you're not already signed up for our e-newsletter, I strongly encourage you to sign up for our e-newsletter. It's the best way of staying up to date on training, grants, and other opportunities, as well as conference scholarships and some other key pieces. You can do so by clicking the link in the chat box right now on our website, akafterschool.org/join us. That is the best way of staying up to date around what's happening in the after school field here in Alaska. Otherwise, have a great day. We ended early, so enjoy the extra half an hour. Get out, do something healthy for yourself, whether that is a good stretch or walk or just a nice cold glass of water.